Lake Ontario, the Great Lakes, Lake George, all suffering from vast shoreline, boathouse and dock damage from ice and water levels. The Great Lakes, Lake Ontario, the St. Lawrence Seaway, all suffering vast shoreline damage, dock destruction, boathouse destruction, seawall or bulkhead destruction from the up and down, up and down, up and down waters from the Moses Sanders Dam and Dam 230 at Ticonderoga, New York. The exact, precise, same destruction process is what wiped out Clifford and Anita Witham and the Witham Marina on Harris Bay at Lake George in the 1960s and 1970s. The precise, identical, exact, up and down water manipulations for the big hydroelectric producers that give the great big campaign donations to the government officials. This is exactly what destroyed the Witham family marina again and again and again and again and again and again. Precisely and exactly the same destruction processes that are being caused by the Plan 2020 of the International Joint Commission on the Lake Levels on Lake Ontario. The precise, exact destruction processes, the destruction mechanisms of the Moses Sanders Dam is exactly what international power, international electric hydro-generating power, international power, and paper corporation were allowed to do on Lake George for many, many, many years. Now, John Apperson referred to Lake George as a mill pond. Well, it was a little bit different than just a mill pond. Ellen Apperson Brown and the Fund for Lake George and the Lake George Association and the Lake George Park Commission and the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation. It was about harnessing the horsepower of Lake George by ponding back the waters, letting the reservoir build just as high as they can let it build in the springtime. After wintertime drawdown, after they dump a whole bunch of water through the electric turbines to make a whole bunch of money for international power and paper, in the springtime, Dam A, Dam 230 is used to pond back large amounts of water to make even more money for the Hydroelectric Generation Corporation on Lake George, New York, the Mill Pond. I got a little bit of a bone to pick with the governor of the state because the exact, identical, precisely the same destruction processes from the Moses Sanders Dam is what destroyed the Witham Marina 5 years in a row. And New York State is making huge amounts of money from the Moses Sanders Dam, just exactly like they made huge amounts of money from processing New York State's forests with the international power and international paper corporation. New York State got filthy rich from the up and down, up and down, up and down waters of damned 230 Dam A on Lake George, New York. This is how they wound up with the Witham family property on the east side of Lake George, New York. They used their dam, just like the property destruction on the Great Lakes, just like the property destruction on the St. Lawrence Seaway, exactly like the property destruction on Lake Ontario. The Witham Marina was destroyed so that the state of New York could stuff its pockets. Not only stuff its pockets, but then, of course, go ahead and steal the Witham family property on the east side of Lake George. All the information, all the research, all the science, and huge numbers of witnesses, millions upon millions of witnesses, the information and links are attached right below. So to Andrew Cuomo, Basil Sagos, Dan Steck, and Betty Little, and all the town of Queensbury, and all of Warren County, and especially the Lake George Park Commission, this damn 230, the destroyer at Ticonderoga, is what has been causing vast property damage on Lake George for many decades, so that the state of New York can cook and process its forests and stuff its pockets with huge amounts of money from generating hydroelectricity. The mill pond on Lake George was for producing hydroelectric power. And it still is. The evidence shows that it still is. Andrew Cuomo, I want the Witham family to receive money for the damages caused by the hydroelectric generation of Dam A230 at Ticonderoga. We want our property back, and we want damages. Andrew Cuomo. This Great Lakes destruction saga, this Great Lakes devastation story, is the identical exact same processes that the state of New York used to destroy Clifford and Anita Witham's marina operations at Harris Bay on Lake George, New York. And we want our money. We want our land back, Governor Cuomo, and I will not stop until I expose the state, and I will not stop until our property is returned. And to all the people around Lake George that somehow think that Clifford and Anita Witham were deadbeats and wouldn't pay their bills, well, the reason they were unable to, and the reason they were absolutely prevented from paying their bills, the state of New York destroyed their business 5 years in a row. The state of New York did it, not Clifford and Anita Witham or the Witham family. Ladies and gentlemen, and I'm leaving it right there. And as always, hasta la vista. God bless you. You can bet your sweet ass I'm coming back.